You know what we call the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We call them the Sahaba, the Suhbah, his friends and companions. It was those Sahaba who were insulted and tormented for the sake of the Prophet. And they were even forced out of their homes. They immigrated with him to start a life from scratch. And they shared bread and dates as they established the city of our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was those friends and companions of the Prophet that fought in battles for the sake of their religion and their beloved Messenger, and even protected him from harm with their own bodies. And it was those friends and companions of the Messenger who could not bear hearing his name called in the adhan after his passing. As the companions would say, his passing was the hardest calamity we have ever experienced. It was the hardest moment of their lives. The Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they define to us what it means to be a friend, to have a true friend. And it makes me question, do we approach our friendships with our true vision, the vision of our hearts, just like the Prophet and the companions did? Remember in the first episode when we talked about the sources of doubt in our lives and what could be blinding us from seeing with our true vision, the vision of our hearts? We said they were three: lack of knowledge, following your personal desires, the hawa, and the third was societal influence. That's the one I want to focus on with you today. Because part of the nature of this world is we interact with the people around us, your family, classmates, peers, whoever it may be. And as a result of those interactions, we grow closer to some people more than others. And some of those people, we begin to consider them our friends, our companions on this journey. And the question is, who are the people we're choosing to be our friends? And are those the people that the vision of my heart is telling me should be my friends? We first have to realize that the people we decide to become friends with become an extension of who we are as individuals. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, الْمَرْءُ عَلَى دِينِ خَلِيلِهِ فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلُ. Every person follows his friend's religion. You're going to be influenced by them. So you should be careful who you take as your friends. What's the criteria that the Prophet teaches us to choose the right friends? He says, they are the ones who, when you see them, you remember Allah and they point you towards Allah. And their reasoning and their thought, it elevates you in your level of knowledge. And when that friend sees you forgetting Allah or you're being heedless, he reminds you. And if he sees you in remembrance of Allah, he supports you in growing closer to Allah. The basis is always Allah. When I see that specific friend, do I remember my prayers? Do I keep my mouth clean? Do we gossip and backbite wrongfully about people? One of the criteria the Prophet mentions is he reminds you and brings you back to the right track when he sees you off course. And I want you to think about that for a moment. Your true friend, according to the Prophet ﷺ, is actually your biggest critic. And it's not because they hate on you or they want to put you down, but because they are the first people to help you point out when you've fallen down. And they support you to get back up. That's who a true friend is. When they've been realizing every time you go out, you're skipping your prayers, or you've fallen into a haram relationship, or your tongue has been cursing a little too much. They love you so much that they are the first person to stand in front of you and tell you, my friend, I don't want to see you heedless or far away from Allah. And they wake you up. And while they're your number one critics, they're also your greatest supporters. They truly push you to be the best version of yourself, especially in the role you were placed on this earth to serve. And that's as a servant of your Lord. They acknowledge your successes. They share your happiness. They support you however they can, because that's who a true friend is. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he also teaches us a beautiful lesson about choosing our friends. And he says,
لا تأمنن لرفقة أحد حتى تراه في ثلاث شدة تصيبك ونعمة تصيبه وجفوة بينكم.
don't trust anyone as a close friend or companion until you see them in three moments. The first is a moment of hardship. You know, at that moment when Allah is testing you and your friend is there as your backbone, helping you however they can. Or do they disappear and they fail to show up in the moments when you need them most? And the second is when he is blessed with a great blessing from Allah. Some friends, the moment they hold a higher position or make a significant paycheck, they change. They become totally different people. And all of a sudden, these years of friendship and companionship and all the stories between you guys, it's thrown out the window. And the third thing he teaches us is a moment of disagreement. People are defined by how they act when they don't see eye to eye with someone else. Because they can either respect the friendship, treat each other with dignity, respect, honesty, and love, or they become envious, deceptive, liars, and forget the friendship that was between you guys one day. And Ali ibn Abi Talib is teaching us that a real friend shines at the moment when everyone else doesn't. They stay true to their values and morals, regardless of how the circumstances have changed. They know how you feel, and they love you for who you are. So you ask yourself the question, have I approached my friendships with true vision and followed the criteria that the Prophet ﷺ taught me? Are my friends the reason I remember Allah? They remind me to remember Allah, and they applaud my remembrance of Allah? And are my friends the people who want to see me do good, succeed in both worlds, and are there for me in the times of hardship, just like they're there for me in the times of fun and ease?
قيل يا رسول الله أي جلسائنا خير؟ قال من ذكركم بالله رؤيته وزاد في علمكم منطقه وذكركم بالآخرة عمله.